What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast, a video game show where we talk about games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. New episodes come out Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Time, and you can listen to those on podcast services around the World Wide Web, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and others. We'll get a little bit more into the show details in a second, but first, I am one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined across the no longer the power of the internet. I almost said it again.
Joined across the table.
To my right, my co-host, Rachel Mogan.
Buongiorno.
How are you? This episode recording has been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming. We kept having to delay, and it was both of us. Like, your AC broke.
My AC went out for like the last week, and it was terrible.
We didn't want to go back to virtual recording again because it's like, no!
It's terrible.
We made it this far.
For one, two things. Yes, we've made it this far. We're on the other side. We no longer want... remote recording is our last option nowadays again.
Yeah.
Because we're like, this is so much more fun.
Yeah, this is an episode where it's like, we really kind of need to be able to like talk about all the decisions. So it's
and
very
not worry about Discord cutting out like 30 seconds of our talk when we start talking over each other on accident. We can talk over each other all day long.
Exactly.
But no. So yes, we would try to do today's episode. We are going to be giving our review of the full complete game of Tell Me Why by Dontnod. And the reason why we wanted to play and review this game is that our goal originally was to have this review out before the end of June, which is Pride Month. And so... that didn't happen because we got around to it. Then it was time to record. My AC broke, and I'm sorry. We could have done remote, but it was just too damn hot in my office by the end of the day.
Yeah, and nobody wants to be sitting there on a high-def webcam just sweating bullets.
Oh, and it would have been bad. You would have seen it dripping down my face. My shirt probably would have gone like a couple shades darker.
Yeah.
It just would not have been a fun time.
It wouldn't have been good. And anyways, I contend that there shouldn't be just 1 month of relegated
Exactly.
Pride.
Exactly.
We didn't delay.
Every day, all day,
making
24/7.
A statement.
Exactly.
That's what
We're
it is.
continuing
Yeah.
Pride Month.
This is just
month.
Pride Month Part 2, Electric Pridaloo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sunny reference. I love it.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, maybe it wasn't intentionally. We were just talking about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
It's just become such a meme that I always hear people say Part 2 Electric Boogaloo.
It's because in Always Sunny they bring about that. Have you watched the episode Charlie McDennis where it's about their made up board game that they have?
Maybe.
So they have that episode.
Familiar,
then the season 11 premiere.
Oh God, I didn't make it that far.
Watch it.
Oh,
we
okay.
literally just watched this episode. That's what I know. It's called Charlie McDennis 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Okay. No, I didn't know that. That's really funny though.
Oh man. So anyway, yes, we are here. We have put it off. Sorry we didn't quite make it into the official Pride Month, but here in Pride Month 2.0, we don't really give a shit about that.
We don't care.
And we're here to give you a full review of Dontnod's Tell Me Why, but a little bit about that in a second. You can find the show on social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Join our Discord server where you can have a lot of great fun conversation with us about gaming topics, non-gaming topics, really whatever you want to talk about. We're there to talk about it with you, and it's a lot of fun. And then finally, if you want to help make the show bigger and better, you can head over to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show. And in return, we'll give you cool perks like getting the episodes early before their general Tuesday release, access to a private channel on our Discord server, the Rogues Gallery, and for our $5 patrons, you can also get 2-week early access to our subsidiary show, Team Chit Chat, where Mogan and I talk about things that are not video game related at all. Well, they can be video game adjacent. They just cannot be a gaming topic, such as I talked about Castlevania.
I was going to say, for example, Blockbuster did technically do video game rentals.
Ooh, that's true.
Yeah.
That should have been taken out.
On our most recent episode, Team Chat Podcast, we talked about Jerrett gave us the story of the last Blockbuster.
Which is a great documentary, and everybody
Very
should go
fun.
watch it. But if you want to hear me talk about it more, check out our most recent episode of Team Chit Chat, where you can hear about that. But if you can't support the show, that's no big deal monetarily wise, that is. That's no big deal. We totally understand. But there are a lot of great ways that you can help make the show bigger and better as well by subscribing or subscribing wherever you watch or listen to the show, telling your friends, writing us reviews, all that great stuff helps get the word of Team Chat Podcast out there to the masses. And we appreciate and love and just, heart emojis, everyone. Viewers, listeners, patrons alike, we got you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks. I don't know if you saw it, but while you were talking, a fender fir or a birdie fir
Probably fender fir.
floated directly
No, hole in
into the
one,
spout.
huh?
I did manage to get it out because it got hung up, but I was like, what are the chances?
I just am assuming that my stomach is just lined.
Just lined
has just
with
like a
fender
lining
firs.
of fur
If
on the inside.
anything,
Because
it's-
at this point, I've given up trying to do
Maybe that's why you run so hot. You have so much interior, what's it called? Insulation.
insulation.
Yeah.
That's probably very true.
Yeah.
Man,
Well,
I hadn't thought
should
about
maybe
that.
Get that cleaned out.
I should. But so we're going to jump into this, but also people, because it is, it's been a little bit and there are delays. It is July 4th when we are recording this episode.
Happy Workaday.
And happy Workaday.
America, fuck yeah.
And as such, it's a Sunday morning, and it's one of our traditions, Sam and I's tradition, to watch the hot dog eating contest, which is taking place in 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
So we're going to get started into this because we needed to get going. But Sam's going to bust in here in a second and let us know when
Why
it's
don't
hot
we
dog
just
time.
do the little moment with Mogan for these 10 minutes and we'll really drag it out?
Yeah, we'll just talk,
Yeah, all
we'll
right,
just
we'll
talk
just-
about
we'll
everything
just shoot
on
the
that.
shit.
So before we get into the main topic of the day and our brief intermission to go watch some hot dogs being wolfed down, we're going to get a little bit of news and what's coming out soon in our moment with Mogan.
First of all, I don't consent to the hot dog eating competition.
You're going to have to watch it anyway.
I'm gonna have
You're
to
here.
watch it anyways. God, just thinking about it makes me feel a little queasy.
It looks gross.
Oh, gross.
Those wet, mushy buns just
Oh God, don't even
Being
say it.
chilled.
Ew. I might actually barf. Okay, because we had to
Oh,
delay so many
man.
times, sorry again, we are going to backtrack a little bit.
All
So
right.
starting, I'm just going to arbitrarily pick a day. All right, so as of June 25th, because this is one of the only games I'm scrolling through that I'm like, yeah, I would play that. As of June 25th, Mario Golf Super Rush has released for the Nintendo Switch, obviously exclusively. I do actually enjoy sports games, but only for sports that don't matter.
Like golf?
Like golf. Like golf, fishing,
yeah.
ping pong, that boxing thing from Wii Sports. Man, that was fun. Wii
Do you
Sports
remember
was
the
a jam.
the paintball games they would have? Like
No.
why that needed to be a video game when you've already got like Call of Duty and
Also,
stuff? Like,
that's just
how's that going to give you
Splatoon.
Yeah, exactly?
Yeah.
Like how's that going to give you the rush?
That's really funny. Anyways, Mario Golf Super Rush is out now for the Switch. Scarlet Nexus. I've actually heard a little bit about this game, and it sounds interesting.
I have like no idea what the game is, but I've heard a lot of people saying it's good.
So is there not also, I don't know why I'm asking you, I don't think you would know this, but somebody else, is there not also an anime called Scarlet Nexus? And if yes, is this game based on the anime or vice versa? Or are they
No
both
idea.
based on a light novel that was made into an anime that they made into a video game, which frequently happens, more than you would think. Anyways, Scarlet Nexus is out now, and it's available for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 made their way to the Switch as of June 25 as well. I don't know what this game is, but it has one of those exceptionally JRPG titles, so I'm going to go on ahead and put my money on JRPG.
Okay.
Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights.
Quietus of the Nights, plural.
Quietus of the Nights, plural, and Nights is like the fighty nights, not
Okay,
the nighttime nights. Anyways, that's out for Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One. Curved Space. Don't know what that is. Sounds fun. Is out for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC on June 29th. Destroy All Humans! This is the remake, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, it has come to the Switch on June 29th as well. Disgaea 6, Defiance of Destiny. God, the Disgaea series has been going for 10,000 years and it'll never stop. That is out for Nintendo Switch now as well. Doom Eternal has made its way to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S. I didn't know this. Oh my God.
Such excitement.
This one's actually exciting for me. Sky, Children of the Light, previously a mobile-only title, has been ported to the Switch. Oh my God. So that's out as of June 29th as well. I'm actually going to go play that game.
Okay.
Sky, Children of the Light is from that game company, makers of Journey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. And I don't know. I don't know how they would have enabled this for the Switch. Probably poorly. Sorry, Nintendo. But Sky Children of the Light is actually meant to be a very intentionally online experience.
Oh.
So I'm probably going to pick this up and play it and maybe even review it.
Well, how about that?
Yeah, how about them apples? Anyways, Sky, Children of the Light from the makers of Journey. It's apparently really, really good.
Okay.
I've talked about it a lot for Android Central because the Android and iOS versions are extremely highly rated. People love this game. And it looks really cute. So just look up some of the art and be like, if that's your jam, just go for it. Anyways, glad I backtracked.
I know,
Damn,
right?
I may not have ever known.
Great discovery.
Yeah, Spirit of the North is also out now for Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One. Another one that got a weird port, but I'm happy about it. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. Do you know what Doki Doki Literature Club is?
Only by name, because I saw Kind of Funny was streaming it.
Yes, I really cannot say
Recently.
anything about it without giving too much away, other than that it is a dating sim game. So it's kind
We
of
like
like a
those.
visual novel dating sim-esque game, but it's got some really interesting plot going on. So Doki Doki Literature Club Plus is now out for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. It was already out for PC, but whatever. Probably not the Plus version. I don't know what's new in the Plus version. That's a big old mystery to me. Greedfall, a game I forgot about, is out now for PS5 and Xbox Series
wanna
X
play
and
that
S. Yeah, it looks interesting.
I know it came out for PS Plus not too long ago.
And I
so I'm
probably
wondering
didn't
now
download it.
if this PS5 version is going to be available through, like if I can upgrade it through that or if it's different.
Good question.
Probably.
But we are
different.
finally catching up to July. So as of July 1st, Operation Tango has released for Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One. That game actually looks fun. It's like a co-op spies and hackers game kind of thing. It looks really fun. This one I do care about. A Plague Tale Innocence. Which is also July's PS Plus for PlayStation 5 game.
Yes.
Yes, I think that's
I believe
right.
so.
Yeah, so for PS5, this is the PS Plus game of the month. If you're only on PS4, sorry, you still have to pay for it.
But you can still download it.
But you can
still
still
add it
download
to your
it.
library.
Yes.
You just can't play it until you got that PS5.
Anyways, that is now out for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and the Switch. Good for them. And then coming out on July 6th, we have, oh my god, another Ys. We have,
How many of those
many
are
is
there?
this? Okay, this one is number 9. So we have Ys 9 Monstrum Nox for Switch and PC. Coming up on July 8th, we have Sam and Max. This time it's virtual for the Oculus Quest.
Okay.
Fascinating. And then on July 9th, we have Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin. I'm actually pretty excited about that game. That's coming out for Switch and PC. Rounding us out on the 13th, then, we have Curved Space for Switch, Where the Heart Leads for PS5 and PS4, Lost at Sea for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. And that's everything that gets us through the middle of July.
There we go. Boom.
Jesus.
That was a good list.
Yeah.
Good solid list. Some good discoveries
solid
on there.
list.
But
Sky, Shelter of the Light. That's the only game I actually care about.
and
Go
now
play
you're
that
gonna
game.
go play it.
Yeah.
You're gonna go out there and play it. Speaking of playing games, like we often do on this show,
Do we though? What if that was the long con that we'd actually never
played a
played
video game. We
games?
just watch a whole lot of YouTube videos.
Even the streams we spoofed, like we had other people actually play the games, and we
Yeah,
were
we're just
just
holding
pretending
controllers.
to. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all fake.
that's us.
We've been lying
what's
about it
what's
the
the
whole
band
time.
that did that lip sync to their whole thing? Milli Vanilli.
Or the Milli
Or the
Vanilli
Milli
video
Vanilli
games.
video games.
That should be our new tagline. Team Chat Podcast. We're the Milli Vanilli video games.
Just tagline just gets longer and longer down our shirts.
Oh, that would be really
That
funny.
would be really funny. But no, I have actually done what I thought was impossible.
Can I take a guess?
Yes, you may.
Did you finish Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
I have.
Van Halen?
I have finished Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
God. You didn't explode.
Sorry, I didn't know I needed to. Sorry,
You always
I'm
explode.
sorry. But yes,
You uncultured swine.
it is done.
Oh my God. I can't wait to hear your full review.
It's gonna
I'm
be
so
a
excited.
doozy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so long.
I'm just going to be able to sit here and get smashed. while
Just like throw back
just
beers.
toss them back.
Just like I threw back many a horn of mead in Valhalla, so shall you throw back many cans of the
of
finest
Lone Star.
brews.
The finest Lone Star available in Texas.
But yes,
Oh my
that is done. So we'll be having a review of that soon, and then because that now freed up a little bit of gaming real estate in my brain, I started also Hades finally.
I saw that on the Switch the other day. Your little icon came up and it said Hades, and I was like, he's doing it.
So fucking
Oh
good.
my god! So
I'm so sad. I knew it was going to be great. It's super giant,
Yeah.
but I kicked myself for not getting it sooner. I don't know why I didn't do it and didn't start it sooner, but I have because I again was getting sucked back into Civ 6. I'm like, I just can't do this. I can't keep going back and repeating bad
damn you,
habits.
Civ 6.
So I said no. I'm doing something new because I knew that was a good like pick up, put down. It can take a lot of hours. It can take 5 minutes, kind of thing. And so I actually just before we started recording defeated the first Fury, and so cleared the first area. So I'm doing good. There, blew it up that time. And yeah, so it's been a great game.
Jerrett and I were texting last night about just like today's time and stuff, and I was late anyways, sorry. But I was like, actually, we can't do Tell Me Why anymore because I know you're playing Hades. We have to do Jerrett's top 3 waifus from Hades.
Oh man, I mean waifus and husbandos.
Waifus and husbandos. So because you're now playing this game, I never wanted to play it alone because I always felt like we wouldn't.
Start it.
I know. I didn't. So I'm going to probably play it now so
have it
that we
already?
can do but I can get it.
Yeah.
Fool.
I know you can. I was just wondering if you already had it.
No, I don't already have it. But yeah, I'm probably going to pick it up now so that eventually you and I can do either a first impressions and or a full review.
That'd be so great.
And then maybe
definitely
we can
do
get
that.
Bro Mogan on. He
Yeah,
loves that game.
It's fantastic.
Or at least we can get him on for the ranking top 3 waifus because I think that's an episode that we have to do.
Oh,
at
by
some
far.
point. Yeah.
Everybody loves that game.
Yes.
For the people
I
in
think
it.
that would be extremely
I
fun.
saw so many like tweets and stuff going out when everybody being like, "Whoa, I never was prepared for the buy energy that's in this game," and I was like, "Yeah, I see that."
Finally, 2020. It sucks that we're no longer in the teens because we can't say
know.
20 gay teen anymore.
Damn it!
We got to figure out something else for the 2020s. Something else that has as good of a ring to it. 'Cause
Yeah.
that just always had a good ring to it.
For sure.
Bummer.
Okay, well, this seems like a good stopping point before
Yeah, we've come to a natural
we just transition into our full review. So we're gonna go watch people eat hot dogs real quick.
Gross. I'm not
and we
looking
will
forward
be
to it.
right back. Well, everyone, we're back. Thank you for that brief interruption, which was no time at all for you, but we just got to watch 10 minutes of men shoving hot dogs down their throats.
It was disgusting.
That's the first time you'd ever seen it,
Oh my
huh?
God. I'd never seen a hot dog eating competition before in action. Most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. I almost threw up. I had to eventually just avert my eyes because I couldn't. I like the commentating is fine, but good Lord.
I will say the waterlogged hot dog bun,
my God.
just like being smashed. I can't. I don't even want to know what that texture is like.
Oh God.
That's disgusting.
I'm going to barf.
Okay, we'll move on then. We'll move on to more fun topics, more video game related topics now for you all, and we will do our full review of Tell Me Why. So, quick little note about this one.
It's
it's
a
pretty
hard
much,
turn from hot dogs to tell me why.
but I will say, being that these games like that Dontnod makes, like Life is Strange, Tell Me Why, and all that stuff. It is basically impossible to talk about the game without talking about its story.
We have to. We have to do all
this
the
is
spoilers.
full spoilers.
Yeah.
So
full spoilers.
if you haven't played Tell Me Why and you want to keep some of that info secret until you play, this is not the podcast episode
It's
for you.
not. Skip it.
But if you don't care about spoilers or you play the game already, strap in because here we go. You've been warned. All right. So tell me why.
Chapter
1. Homecoming.
So,
Pretty sure that's what it was called.
oh yeah,
But yeah, so
Spider-Man 50 Homecoming.
oh yeah, there was a Spider-Man.
There is a
Homecoming. That's
Spider-Man
right.
called Homecoming. Yeah.
But so yeah, Tell Me Why is another game by Dontnod, and who are the creators and developers of the Life is Strange series.
Now, quick note: although Dontnod still produced this game, the original team that made Life is Strange didn't work on it. Is that correct?
something like that. There is some
happened.
difference, or it's like,
Yeah.
or it's just not, because now Deck 9 is making the
Yes,
Life
that's
is
what I
Strange
mean.
games.
Is that there was a split somewhere
Yeah,
along the way.
but Dontnod still did this one.
Yes.
And so it originally came out, I want to say 2019. Gonna do a quick little Google
Yeah,
on
I
that
didn't
because
look it up
I
in advance.
we
never
we
do.
just played the game. We
I
don't
I
look
feel
at it.
like it was more recent than that. Was it not 2020?
Maybe it was last year.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, August 27th, 2020.
Okay, that was right.
So
Shocking.
It is different from a Life is Strange game in the fact that it was only 3 episodes long as opposed to 5. It did do the full episode release thing. We played it in June when the whole game was out and free, so we got to play it all at once, which I still hold is the better way to do it.
We already mentioned this, right? That Dontnod made the game free for Pride Month.
We mentioned it a couple weeks ago when we announced we were going to do it because that was kind of like the impetus of like, oh, yeah, sure, let's do this.
Well, the point is Dontnod made a cool move and they made the full Tell Me Why game free on Steam for all of Pride Month. So awesome. What a great move.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
Every game about anyone on the LGBTQIA plus spectrum should be free during Pride Month.
Absolutely. I 100% support that. It's also and one of the things that made this game very impactful and very special also is that it is the first game to feature a transgender character.
Yeah, like as a
protagonist. Like one of the main characters that you play of. And so I guess before we jump into the story of it all, how does this one feel to you as compared to other Life is Strange Dontnod games? Because like it started and I was like, this is Life is Strange.
Yeah,
it's Dontnod.
It is. This is Life is Strange.
You know?
First of all, I don't know why they didn't call it Life is Strange because it's Life is Strange.
I know. I am kind of interested why it is different.
Yeah.
Why they can
I don't know.
Because it's kind of like almost like Before the Storm. Before the Storm is still though called Life is Strange Before the Storm, but it's kind of a separate story. I don't understand why this isn't
that's
canon
what I'm saying.
of the Life is Strange universe.
I feel like this came maybe after the internal break was happening, so maybe they lost the rights to actually call it Life is Strange. I don't know. That's pure conjecture. That could absolutely not be true. But in general, I will absolutely say that I agree that it felt just like Life is Strange in terms of both the atmosphere, the fact that even though it's in Alaska, it looks exactly like Portland. They cannot get away from that aesthetic. So
and I even love that in the upcoming True Colors, they're not going to be in Oregon, but they're just going to be in Colorado.
So when they were making like the clothing packs for Life is Strange, they only had access to denim and plaid, and all of the others would have cost too much more. So they were like, can't do it. We gotta pretend like they're all taking place in Portland, Oregon, and nowhere else. So they're stuck in that. So aesthetically, it looks and feels exactly like Life is Strange. I will, however, say that I thought there was a significant increase in graphic quality.
Oh, yes.
This game looked really good. For the most part, I was actually quite impressed with both how the characters looked and how the environments particularly looked. I thought there was so much care put into the game. This is something very small, but I was like, wow, why would they bother doing that? In one of the the opening scene of chapter 2, young characters are running through a hallway, and on the wall next to them is just one of those like random things of slim tubing that is like bolted to the wall because it's like a cable or something. I was like, why? Why'd they put that there? They didn't have to, but they chose to. And I was just like, that's the kind of realism I'm here for.
I will say I completely agree that it does look like each one, they keep making it better and better, and it looks from how it looks. But still, though, like while I appreciate the care they put into that, I really do wish for like the next one, or especially even like True Colors, that they update the whatever they do for facial animation.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
It's good, but it's not. There are still many times, like there was one point I remember where one of the characters, Alyson, is sleeping, I believe, or something like that, and it just looked odd, and when they scream, you can't tell the difference between like they're scared or surprised.
Yes, so that's exactly the same.
Like, and in these games where like the emotion is so important and like that is like a very key part of the storytelling, I can't help but feel that disconnect.
I completely understand. Specifically, there were a few scenes where I had that exact same reaction. Primarily, I don't know if you felt this way as well, I felt like it was the most noticeable that the facial animations were not even close to the emotion being portrayed by the voice actors and actresses, which was excellent.
Yes.
The voice acting in this game is great.
There were some exceptions. We'll talk about those. There were a couple people that I was like, not great. 2 main characters, though, top.
The two
tier,
main characters did an incredible job.
which we should give those a shout out.
In both their younger forms and their adult forms. Because
Yes.
Tell Me Why, we actually haven't really set up the premise yet, but it flips back and forth between the past and the future for a few key scenes. Specifically, the two main characters, Tyler and Alyson, whenever they're portrayed as children 10 years ago, when they would have been, 10 or 11?
I believe so, because they're 21 in current time.
They would be about 10 or 11. For the children's faces in particular, I consistently felt like they just couldn't get emotion to show for like the childlike faces, more so than I felt like was true for the adult faces. And I don't know why, if that was just my perception or if there actually was something different about like the child models that they just couldn't get to rig properly. I don't know if you had that same experience, but I thought the child faces specifically looked much worse, or not looked, behaved much less naturally than the adult faces did, which also wasn't anytime they were trying to portray extreme anger or sadness.
Yeah.
Those are
It's
the
like
two
those
where
two couldn't
happiness they've got they like did a good job.
Yeah.
Perfectly acceptable. But any like strong sadness or anger or anxiety, I just feel like they could never quite get to.
Yeah, I agree. But to give a shout out to the voice actors, Erica Lindbeck plays Alyson Ronan, and August Aiden plays Tyler Ronan, who also working with this, and I think a great thing that Dontnod did is that August Aiden is a trans man to do the voice for Tyler.
We have to clap into the microphones
Sorry.
very quietly.
Clapping.
Yay, representation.
I know, it's awesome. It was very cool to see that and to see the story, which I also like. It's a very dark story.
Yeah,
I thought
it is.
darker. Like,
oh my god.
This one. Okay, so we should probably tell what this one's
Yes.
about.
All right. Let's do some setup
Let's
first,
do some
and
setup.
then we'll get back.
We'll
to
get
it.
some structure into
Okay.
this review. Here we go. So, Tell Me Why is a story of two twins, Tyler and Alyson Ronan, who when they were like 11 years in the past events,
growing up in rural Alaska,
like it's
like
out there,
like
Yeah.
a tiny little
Delos
nothing town.
Crossing is what the name of the town, and they suffered a traumatic event, primarily the death of their mother, through what looked to be, and is revealed shortly thereafter in the thing, through one of the kids, Tyler. Wait, I'm getting confused now. Tyler.
Yes.
Killed their mother, and so Tyler has been gone at a basically juvie / like a youth.
It looks more
center.
like it is definitely a form of juvenile detention, but it looks more like one of those. I guess like it's not really prison. It's more like a correctional home for, I guess, troubled youths or something. But yeah, it's called Fireweed.
Right. So he had been at Fireweed for a long time, for those 10 years, and is now finally making his way back to Delos Crossing and is reunited with his sister Alyson. And they're there. Alyson has still lived in the city the whole time.
Yeah.
But then they're now there and coming back together because they're going to sell their old childhood home. So they're obviously going through it, cleaning it up, and all this other stuff. But not long after they're at the home and start their cleanup, they realize that this old ability that they had when they were kids, and I don't think they really recognized it as an ability when they were kids, but they called it the voice, where they can telepathically communicate with each other. Which, there's a lot of science behind that already with twins and like being able to feel or think the same things and all that. So it's just kind of like a cool expounding upon that theory. And so they can then remember also specific memories, and those memories you can then play back for each other.
Yeah.
Similar how in like Life is Strange, Max Caulfield, she could rewind time and go through things again. In the upcoming True Colors, Alex is going to be able to identify with people's emotions and empathy and stuff like that.
And the way that that's kind of portrayed in the gameplay is that anytime Alyson and or Tyler are able to view a scene from the past, there's like this slight sparkle effect on screen. And once you're kind of within range of the memory, if you hold down, I think it's like the space button and then the mouse.
Did you play this on PC too?
Yes.
I did too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why. It was free on all platforms,
Yeah.
but for whatever reason, I was like, I want to play this on Steam.
Me too.
So-
Yeah, so I was playing it. So for starters, not going to derail myself. We will talk about that in a second. But yeah, you basically come within range of a memory. It looks like just sort of a shining outline.
Yep.
And then as you bring the memory into focus, it eventually becomes ghostly figures that you will actually view, move around in the environment, and be able to hear. So they're not necessarily cutscenes. It's more like a little cutscene happening in real life.
Yeah. So So you go through those, and so then it becomes basically not too long into this, and they're trying to clean up the house and everything. You realize maybe things that happened in the past aren't exactly how things went down, how they remembered them. So it launches them into an investigation to try to figure out what really happened that night, what really happened to their mother.
Yes.
So with that all set up,
that's the premise.
We can now continue on into some things. The one takeaway that I had about this is what Tell Me Why played and was what basically Tell Me Why played better and was what Life is Strange 2 should have been.
I was totally thinking the same thing. Like when I was re-ranking these in my mind, Life is Strange first is still number one. Yeah. And then Life is Strange 2 is so far in the ground. It's so far down there. And then Tell Me Why easily jumped over it. Because even though, and I thought about this again because I think this is still true about why I had such a disconnect with Life is Strange 2 versus now the first game and Tell Me Why. I am the kind of player that needs a mystery.
Yes.
Both Life is Strange and Tell Me Why have a central mystery at the core of what's going on. In
2.
No, the first game. Max. I was
Yeah.
Matt? I know that's not right. In Max's case, it's that she's got this crazy time travel ability and someone has died and she's trying to reverse time, but then all this other shit happens.
Yep.
So it creates a mystery in the process. With Tell Me Why, you are literally investigating something that happened in the past. It kind of felt like one of the Nancy Drew games, and I was like, hell yes, I'm here for this.
I need to be down for that.
In Life is Strange 2, that just things happened.
Right.
Things happen and you're reacting to them and there is no mystery. It was never really explored or expanded on regarding
Sean and Daniel.
Regarding Daniel's telepathic abilities. They never circled back to that.
Right.
So it was just like,
nope,
he just has them. And then you're just basically running from the law for the whole game and there's nothing. I felt very goalless.
Yeah.
Because the only goal was escape, and I'm not nearly as motivated by escape as I am investigate.
Right.
I need to investigate, and Tell Me Why did that so much better.
Because there is a lot with the Life is Strange games going around and just clicking on random points of interest in rooms, and when a lot of that in Life is Strange 2 was just that. They were things that you would look on that would give like some tiny insight into Sean and Daniel's lives. This one, you were doing that because you were trying to find clues.
Yes.
You're trying to see if there's something else out there that was going to give you more answers. But the other part of why I thought Tell Me Why was so much better and did things so much better than Life is Strange 2 is that it handled having two main characters so much better.
It did. I totally agree.
Sean and Daniel, you played as Sean. And you would basically instruct Daniel on what to do and things to do. Because Daniel was the one with the power. Sean did not. And Tell Me Why, you play as both Tyler and Alyson. And at different parts of the story, it will switch to the other's perspective. Yeah. And I loved that.
I didn't actually know if they were going to do that because the only thing that I knew about Tell Me Why in advance was the base premise. And that was it. I didn't know anything about the gameplay. So when you started as Tyler, I was like, oh, well, Tyler's the main character. You're going to continue to play as Tyler. And then when it pretty quickly switched over to Alyson, I was like, oh, okay. I'm more on board now because I liked being able to explore both sides of their experience. And I definitely didn't think that the game was going to have that be a central point of contention.
Right.
Is how each of them remember events, what their perspective was, and how that's informing their current selves. So by being able to play as both characters, you absolutely did get so much more connection with each of them, and you never had that in Life is Strange 2.
No. And two, I thought just the story was way more compact. There was never a point where I'm like, what am I doing here?
Right.
Life is Strange 2, it just had its tangents and even I would even say, well, no, not I wasn't even gonna say I don't think there was a moment in Life is Strange 1, but I'm glad they kept it to 3 chapters because it's like they knew what we're doing here.
It was compact.
We know the story we're trying to tell, and they told it excellently. So and I agree. The points where you would have, because there would be different parts in the story, different beats where Tyler and Alyson would remember things differently. Yeah. And then those are the big turning point parts of the game. would be when you'd have to choose whose memory you wanted to remember as the correct way things went down. But so you get into the town, you go see your house, you uncover this mystery that you have to figure out, and then you go around town and you meet some of the key players. You meet the sheriff, who was the sheriff during the events of 10 years prior.
Yeah, the sheriff who arrested Tyler
right
when he was 11 years old and sent him to juvie.
Right. And then you also, and who Alyson has been living with this whole time while Tyler has been gone. And then you meet the owners of the grocery store where their mother worked and that they were obviously close to, and like the wife of the Tess was very close friends with Mary Ann, their mother. So you meet them, and then you also meet
Sam Kansky.
Yes, Sam Kansky, the neighbor who like kind of hung around. And so those are kind of like the main people. You also meet Allison's friend Michael, who works at the grocery store. He was a lot of fun. I liked him too. I also did
love Sam though, because Sam is like an older man who's also not necessarily bumbling, but definitely probably has an alcohol problem.
Yeah.
But he's been coming over to check on the house during this entire 10 years, just to like upkeep it, just to help out around the place.
Right.
And it becomes pretty clear from talking to him that he obviously had feelings for their mother when she was still alive. So I liked Sam. I thought he was really sweet.
Yeah. And that's another mystery of it too. You don't know who their father is in this whole thing.
So their father has been out of the picture, and they don't even really mention him. The twins don't until the second chapter.
Right. And then I was like, oh yeah, we don't know who he is.
Yeah.
And then that becomes kind of another point that they're trying to figure out. But the whole thing about this, and the kind of the main conflict of why they even want to dig in and figure out what really did happen, is because for all these years, Tyler has had it in his mind, and it shows this through flashbacks. Again, we're getting into spoiler territory, so don't want to know if it's all spoilers
all the time.
So through flashbacks, we see that Tyler's memory of that night is that his mom was going to kill him because he had cut his hair into and was in the beginning stages of real coming out as trans. And so he thought that his mother was having a very, very negative reaction to that, gave her some kind of mental breakdown, and was coming after them because he comes across her in their barn loading a shotgun saying, I'm going to kill him, and all this stuff. And so Tyler has this memory of that. He runs to the dock. Their mom chases him out there. And that's when, the events occur. And so it's one of those things which we then see in that initial story, ending of that first chapter, I want to say, it's actually Alyson is the one who kills the mom, stabs her in defense of Tyler, and she falls into the lake and drowns.
So that is like the big reveal of the first chapter.
Right.
And I will say that the first chapter it definitely felt really slow for me. And chapter 1, the whole time I was like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
I worried it was going to be another Life is Strange 2, which, I know people like that game, but we didn't.
We just didn't.
So we're going to use that as our point of reference. So I was really kind of concerned that I was going to be bored the whole time, which, by the way, Tell Me Why was much longer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it was like 10.
I would say 9 to 10 hours because each individual chapter really kind of, no matter, based on minimum amount of time you could spend in it, at least 2.5 to 3 hours per chapter. So it was a longer game than I thought by a pretty big margin. But yeah, chapter 1 was so slow and kind of, you weren't really getting to the core central mystery. Like, you had this vague idea, and it seemed like it was just going to be about Tyler kind of coming to terms with understanding how did his mother really think about him?
Right.
And then at the end of chapter 2, the end of chapter 1, we finally start to get some real mystery stuff.
Right.
Because there's that twist of, Tyler didn't kill Mary Ann. Alyson did, trying to defend Tyler, and Tyler voluntarily took the blame, pretended he was the one who killed her, and he spent the past 10 years in juvie taking the blame for what Alyson did.
Yeah, which is a big, I was like, whoa.
It sets up this phenomenal parallel of two different people, two different lives, and yet they're twins. They're almost the same person, but not really. And how did this event impact both of them? So that was just great setup.
And too, it threw some wrenches into their memories of the past too, because this kind of whole side thing that's been going along as well is that when they were growing up with their mom, they kind of had this thing where they would write these stories around their life, but like in terms of like a children's book, because their mom was an artist.
Yeah.
She would like have these wonderful drawings for them, and it was called the Book of Goblins.
It's very cute.
It is. Alyson and Tyler were the goblins, and the mom was the princess, and so they had like these friends who were referred to as like the moose, stalwart moose, the bear, the old bear, frog, pelican, and you would at multiple points in the game, which I thought was a nice touch. Also, you would have to refer back to the Book of Goblins as like a code for unlocking a puzzle or something like that. And so at the end of the first episode, you do solve one of these puzzles because it was like a lock on their mom's door to her bedroom. And so they use the Book of Goblins, to be able to decipher it. And you get in there and you're looking around her stuff. And this is the first time that Tyler and Alyson have looked at any of their mom's possessions since, or been in her room since that night. And they find in her drawer a book about supporting your child.
Yeah, I think trans. The book is literally called Supporting Your Transgender Child.
And then another pamphlet that's like Send Them to Conversion Therapy.
Yeah, it's a pamphlet for some sort of bananas religious conversion therapy camp. Ugh.
And so Tyler's like, wait, why does she have both of these?
Yeah.
Was she actually okay with who I am?
Yeah.
And all that. And so it was so that instantly like throws his world off because he's just like, I've been keeping this inside that she wanted to kill me and she hated me. But now that may not have been the case.
Yeah.
And so it was
leading up to this little reveal of the pamphlet, Marianne, their mother, is definitely portrayed like cut and dry as a murderous villain.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the first chink in that armor that we get of, was that just maybe how my child brain processed the trauma? And was that not really the case? Because from then on, prior to this, we had just gotten the bad side of Marianne. But from then on, the game does delve deeper into more of their memories, and a lot of them were happy ones of their mom, like, being kind of a good mom. She definitely wasn't a great
And she
mom,
definitely had some
and she definitely had
problems going on.
But it really just the key point here is that it wasn't as black and white as they thought it was.
So that launches them into this big investigation. And chapter 2 is the majority of chapter 2 is just the investigation.
Yeah.
You go to the police station, you try to confront the chief, Eddie, about his involvement because it looks like he's like, oh, I wasn't there before. But then it turns out he was there for some reason because he made some like house call. Oh, also we're forgetting, and creep me the fuck out. But at the end of chapter 1, when it's doing the flashback and you see one of the villains of the stories in this Book of Goblins is the Mad Hunter. And you see the Mad Hunter at one point. And he's like this hooded figure with really like a Cheshire Cat smile.
But like an entirely black figure.
Face.
Like black from head to toe, including its not really human face.
Right.
Because it just has these two pinpoint white eyes, nothing else, and just this massive creepy grin.
Creepy.
What a great creepy addition.
It really was. But it was so creepy the first time it popped. I was like, no, don't bring that into here.
Actually, this was something
this isn't Resident Evil 8 Village.
Yeah, this was something that both I wasn't expecting about Tell Me Why, and that I thought the game consistently did really well.
Yeah.
And part of why I feel like Dontnod's next game should just straight up be a horror game. Because
they did make Vampire.
Some of the framing of I keep forgetting about
Vampire
that.
was first, but yeah.
So just some of the particular, and I think this is something that again just really gelled with me more about Tell Me Why than Life is Strange 2, was a lot of the cutscenes and framing were so wonderfully crafted around horror.
Yeah.
Because even like the opening cutscene where they're kind of panning over the police station and young Tyler confessing to killing his mother, and all you hear is like Eddie's voice from across the table, Chief Brown, Eddie. Right. It's raining outside. It's dark. There's thunder. Just the entire atmosphere of these more horrific parts of the game were so well done. It was legitimately creepy.
Yeah.
And they did it more than once, and I was like, oh, this should have just been a horror game. This is great. I loved those parts of it.
So I completely agree. I thought all that was done incredibly well.
Yeah.
I just have a point that I'm trying to decide if I want to bring up now, but I'll bring it up later. Anyway, I'll bring it up later, I think. But the highlight for chapter 2 for me, because it gets to the point where it's like they go to Eddie, he's not giving them anything.
Yeah.
They go to Tessa and Tom, the owners of the grocery store, try to talk to them. They get some idea that there was some conflict there going on, but then that still doesn't answer a whole lot of their questions. And so it eventually, and they talk to Sam too, same thing, and just makes more questions than gives them answers for things. And so they eventually realize, if we're going to figure this out, we got to look at Mary Ann's case file.
Yeah.
Obviously, the chief isn't giving it to him. So they break in a la Ocean's 11 into the archives of this rinky-dink town in Alaska.
Which isn't that hard. They actually had a pretty easy time of it.
Yeah, that was like one of the easier puzzles of the game, was getting into the archive. But then I thought brought in, after that, one of the best sequences of the game, which was the investigation in the archives.
I am so glad that you felt the same way about that point, because that was one of the highs of the game.
It was so good.
It was so fun.
Because you're basically in this archive room. There's a bunch of boxes. You have like a starting number that you know you need to go off of. And so then you have to go find that box, whatever, and then you read the information from that file. Then you go back to the like archive computer, and then which gives you more information to search on, and so that you can go through and like change up your search criteria.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're putting together all of these different criteria to cross-reference these file boxes, and the entire time you're playing as Tyler in the archive room, and Alyson is outside keeping watch.
Yep.
So they're mentally psychically, telepathically.
Yeah,
That's the word
with
I
their
was
voice.
getting to. Yeah, they're communicating with their voice, but there's kind of this like low-grade tension the whole time because they got up there by causing a distraction.
They're not supposed to be there.
It's a really small police office. If anyone comes upstairs and finds them up there, they're in big trouble. So the tension behind it was great. And then just the entire process, I personally found super fun. It was
so
very
great.
Nancy Drew, and I loved that about it.
But I did like I honestly thought we were going to go in there, find the one case file, and be done and move on to somewhere else. But the fact that was legitimately, that portion was a good chunk of chapter 2.
Oh, yeah.
That you're just in there cross-referencing, getting more information, and pulling more of these details out about the story of the twins and what happened that night, and the people who are associated around them closely. And so, we'll leave some mystery there. You find out some good information about why, like, what causes the conflict between the mom and Tessa, who were supposedly best friends, but like they had some fight. It does raise the questions of what's Sam's relationship with the family, like, because he went through a divorce not long after, or like around the time of that. So that kind of puts in their head, is Sam our dad? Because why did he get, we were born and then he got divorced shortly thereafter. What's up with that? And so it just really kind of gives them these more angles and directions to look at. And so then at that point, I kind of feel like by the end of that whole portion, they are kind of more on the, Mary Ann wasn't bad, and like there was something going on. And so that's when the game kind of turns to more being like, it's this mysterious figure, the Mad Hunter, that she's been putting into their stories this whole time. This is somebody we need to be looking at, because this person, like, there's some relation here between like who our father is and this person or something. There's more to that, and that is the deeper core here of what's going on. And so then chapter 3 is really that investigation into finding out who is their real father, and then obviously like what events transpired to cause Mary Ann to have the breakdown, and then Tyler, and then obviously the nights where Mary Ann winds up being killed.
And it is worth mentioning, I think, that pretty much the entire time during their childhood, kids don't really ever pick up on this kind of stuff, but Mary Ann was clearly in dire financial struggles.
Yes.
So the backdrop to all of this is, not only is Mary Ann worried about being able to support her children, there's suddenly this threat of, I might lose my children.
Yes.
And that was that absolutely is what sort of pushed her over the edge to, her being dead. And it is very much presented as, was she actually going to kill the children, or was she maybe going to kill herself? So there's some questions there as well of, what actually happened?
She was just like at the end of her rope.
She was just at the end of her rope because everything had been basically building up to this major break.
Right.
And chapter 2 was really fun. Also in chapter 2, something that they started setting up, my favorite part of the whole game. If every game, period, all of them, 100% of games need to have romance. They just have to.
100%.
So there's this point and I was actually not looking forward to it, but there's this point in the story where Tyler and Alyson go to the convenience store where Alyson works to find Tessa, because they want to keep interrogating her basically about what happened in the past. She's not there. She's gone to a cemetery to visit her own mother, I think they said. So she's not around, and they're like, well, farts. What are we going to do now? So Tom, the convenience store owner basically just says, well, I got a dip to go to a political rally thing.
He's trying to be mayor.
He's running for mayor. So he's like, Alyson, can you close up? Alyson and Michael, the other person who works there and Alyson's friend, can you close up shop? I'm going to head out. And they're like, sure. So Michael asks Tyler and Alyson to help him basically close down the store. So Alyson's manning the cash register and Tyler goes back to the stock room to help Michael do inventory and basically just wrap up shop back there. And then it takes a turn. Takes a romantic turn because this whole time Michael is being quite flirtatious with Tyler. And the minute, like the second thing, because I was like, oh, he's probably just being nice. And then the second time he made kind of a flirty comment, I was like,
oh.
Never mind. It's going to be way better than I thought. So then you get this really cute, because up until this point, everything related to Tyler and Alyson has been extremely contentious.
Yes.
Every conversation you have with other people is explosive to a certain extent, or at least mine were. I was very accusatory in my playthrough.
Which I kind of started that way too, because like it obviously gives you that option and those choices through dialogue. But and that's one of the things that's also like running current in the background is this is, you know, this is the first time Tyler's been back in 10 years. It's also now since he's completed his transition, it's just like he's now very wary of how these people are going to be talking to him.
For good reason.
Talking
it's
about him.
Rural Alaska.
Yeah. So like for good reason, but like he is already on edge with everybody. And so there is kind of that. It was nice, that part with Michael, because it was just like somebody in this town that he had no question.
Yeah, and it was just, for starters, Michael is also probably the only person that they interact with that is their age.
Yes.
Michael is the same age as them, so it's like, finally, a fellow comrade, someone that isn't these old, bigoted rural Alaska people. Sorry, rural Alaska people. But so there's also this really cute scene where Tyler and Michael start playing, I don't know,
They like throw plushes at each other?
They're just having a little plush battle because they're throwing plushies at each other and dodging around this stock room, which I thought was super fun and cute. And at the end of it, they have a heart-to-heart about like, because Michael, you find out through conversation with him, I'm pretty sure Michael is gay.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever really exactly say, but he's definitely not straight.
Right.
So Michael isn't straight. He also lives in Delos Crossing. He also has had a rough time of it. And they're just kind of talking about, you know, someday both of them want to maybe move to Juneau.
Well, because aren't Alyson and Michael planning already to move to Juneau?
Yes, Alyson and Michael are already planning to move to Juneau, and they have, or at least Michael has, kind of insinuated to Tyler, like, you should come with us.
Yeah.
Go to the city with us. It's going to be a little bit better for us there.
And I'll be there.
Yeah, and I'll be there. And that's exactly, this, like, that's how I definitely steered the conversation. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going all in on this.
Oh, same. I did too. I saw the hint of it. I was like, I'm chasing this.
Yeah, I'm going to get the only available person in this town. But at least he's a good one.
Right.
Michael is definitely a good character. He's an awesome guy. And that was like the start of that budding romance. And I was like, finally, something to actually be excited about in this game. Which isn't to say that I didn't enjoy the rest of it, but that was the point where I was like, oh, finally, something fun and lighthearted to create a little bit more depth in what otherwise is a very dark game.
It was way darker than I expected it to be.
It was intense.
Unfortunately, though, that relationship did lead to one of the weakest parts of the game, where at the end of chapter 2, Alyson and Tyler wind up getting into a fight because like they go back to their home. Someone is trying to like burn down their barn.
Yeah, that was a surprise. Yeah. I didn't see that coming.
And then they're like, okay, because they're trying to hide something about, I'm assuming like identity. So at that point, we're trying to figure out like, oh, okay, so maybe this Mad Hunter and their father are connected. And so they go down to the dock again and like they start to relive some of their memories, but Alyson doesn't want to remember because obviously it's incredibly traumatic.
Yeah, for her it's extra traumatic because she is actually the one who killed Mary
She's
Ann.
the stabby stabber.
Not only was she the stabby stabber, as we've so eloquently put it, but she also didn't take the blame for it.
Yeah, and let Tyler
So
take
she
the fall.
has double the amount of guilt over this because, yeah, she killed their mom, and then Tyler spent 10 years in a type of prison taking the blame for what she did.
Yeah.
So I also wasn't expecting the game to go this route of expanding on how much mental trauma Alyson has.
Right.
Because obviously Tyler would have a certain amount of emotional and mental trauma just from being who he is in that kind of environment, and for thinking that he was possibly going to be murdered for it as a child. But then Alyson also has this laundry list of mental trauma of her own that I thought they actually did a really good job of exploring a little bit more.
Definitely. First part of chapter 3 is a deep dive into that, really.
It is.
Through her interactions with various characters. But, so Tyler and Alyson have this fight. Because Allison's like, I can't use our voice. I can't see these memories again. It's super, it's super traumatic. And Tyler's like, but no, we need to find out because we're about to see who our father is. We've got to do this. Because the memory they're trying to replay is like one of the events that set off Marianne's eventual mental break is talking to their father on this dock, and he's in a boat and all this stuff. And they come across it one night when they were kids, and so they're trying to reseed that
memory.
And
the memory that they're trying to replay, what they're specifically trying to see is who that man's face is.
Yes.
So he's wearing like a hooded rain jacket the whole time, and his face is totally blacked out, and they're trying to recall his face, and that's where Alyson she can't anymore. She's at her limit. And
so that causes a rift in between them. And so when you're playing as Alyson at the beginning of chapter 3, you talk to Michael. You can tell Michael some things there about what's going on and everything. And he kind of, since that something's going on with Tyler, you wind up asking him if he can go like check on Tyler out at the house. He goes out there, and his like therapy that he wants to do with Michael to help with Tyler to help make him feel better, try to heal the relationship between Tyler and Alyson, is he recommends that they go ice fishing. That was the worst part of the whole game because the mechanics for fishing were terrible.
So this actually does bring up something that I found in general, and this could absolutely be that I'm just not accustomed to playing games on PC anymore, because like I used to do when I was a kid, that was the only way to play the Nancy Drew PC mystery adventure games. But anymore, I play everything on console.
Right.
I didn't even have a mouse. So for all of chapter 1, I was touchpad and WASD, which let me tell you was impossible.
That's hard.
Because if you're playing without a formal mouse, you actually can't. Maybe it's just the way that my laptop is, but you actually can't move and try to recall memories at the same time. So I was having to putting myself in exactly the right position to then start to recall the memory, because otherwise it couldn't bring it into focus.
Yeah.
So chapter 1 was awful for me, more for that reason, because of the mechanics of it. Then I finally stole a mouse from work. I'm borrowing it. I didn't steal it. But I finally got a mouse and I took it home and I was like, oh my God, this is so much better. But even then, I did find that frequently the game just seemed to kind of struggle to bring certain things into the right position for me to interact with. So it wasn't awful, but I did think that mechanically speaking, it was a little bit more difficult than it could have been.
Yeah. So like in this fishing one is obviously once you get a bite, which fishing, is been in games for a while. Some do it great. It's in any game I played it, fishing is like the worst side activity.
It's like,
some places
like
do it
life.
Better. Like Red Dead Redemption, I think had Red Dead Redemption 2 had some of the best fishing I think I've played recently in a game. Then this is like the bottom barrel because you literally just sat there until something hit, and then you had to just hold down S for. I could not figure out how to make that gauge work. There was like a blue part in the middle where it was like the sweet spot, and then it was red, or like if you went too far to the left in the red, the fish would escape. If you went too far to the right, the fish would break the line and it would escape. But like, I could not figure out what it wanted me to do. I think on the third fish you had to try to catch, I was just hitting S at different intervals for different periods of holding it down.
It was pretty brutal.
For like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and I was like,
rough.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And then it finally would be like, okay, now reel it in. And you just hold the click button. And then repeat that a couple times. I was just like, I wrote in my notes, I was like, this fishing part, what the fuck? This is terrible.
So I was having the same thought, and I felt like the game that it probably could have modeled to do that fishing part much better is actually Monster Hunter. Because I don't know if you've ever really like casually fished in Monster Hunter, but all you have to do is like approach a pool of water. You can see the fish in there, and they're all different sizes, and obviously the one you want to aim for, you need to just line up your rod, you cast it in. Once the fish bites, you just click a button.
Yeah.
And that I definitely agree that's as complicated as it should have been, because this was ruining my good time trying to woo Michael.
Exactly.
I was like, this is really harsh in the vibe. because it's Michael and Tyler, and they're like maybe got a budding romance going on. I was like, these fish are cock blocking me.
They absolutely were.
They totally were.
I was just like, I don't care what's happening now in this side little conversation, as nice as it is and how wonderful that their relationship is starting. I want to be done with fishing.
Yeah, I want to get to the smooching. I'm not interested in these fish.
Which we got to.
Which we did eventually get to the smooching.
And it was worth it.
I wonder, like, was there anyone out there that didn't do the smooches?
I don't know. I forgot to check the percentages at the end.
What kind of monster wouldn't want that?
I know.
Anyways, so yeah, the ice fishing sucked, but the relationship between Michael and Tyler was one of my favorite parts of the game.
Yes, it was very good. And so eventually they do reconcile. They find this new piece of information that lets them know that, like, why the person was trying to burn down the garage.
Sorry, the people reconciling were Alyson and Tyler.
Yes,
not
Alyson
Michael and Tyler.
They were already, they were KISS and ING and all up in a tree. And so, out on a frozen lake.
Yeah.
And so Tyler and Alyson then later find more information that leads them to why somebody was going to try to burn down the barn, is because there's apparently a secret loft in it that Marianne had put in that they had no idea existed.
Which, love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Anything, hidden rooms, everybody loves them. You love to see it.
It was love to see it. And so that opened up the final area where that put all the pieces together for them. Literally. Because it's like you had to solve more puzzles, like with the lock on Marianne's door, referring back to the Book of Goblins, and it's basically, this is what shows that, like, she was going to try to potentially kill herself, potentially kill them, is because this loft was basically like her suicide note in a way.
Yeah.
Like revealing what happened in her past to lead her to Dallas Crossing and what led her to have trauma and all this different stuff. And so it's all up there. You uncover it through these storybooks that they've had their whole life, and you just really learn more, which then eventually leads them to the, like, okay, we know all this now. We have to go find this memory. We have to see who our father is. So we have to talk about this, obviously. When did you guess who it was, and how long did it take you? We're going to say who the father is. So again, big spoiler.
Big spoiler.
But did you guess who it was going to be, or did you, like, find out when they found out?
I had an inkling. And so the game does actually pose again, you love to see it, a blatant red herring.
Yeah.
The game gives you this red herring of, Sam Kansky, that nice guy who's been coming around to the house and taking care of it and seems really hung up on his love for Marianne. Yep. That's probably their father. It's very much posed that way. But I still was pretty sure that it was Tom. It was Tom Vecchi? Vecchi?
Yeah. Vecchi.
I say Vecchi, whatever. So Tom Vecchi, because there was so much contention between Tessa and Marianne.
Right.
That was really kind of what clued me into it was, okay, we've already kind of established that Marianne, a married man isn't going to stop her. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that she's a bad person. It's just that it's Delos Crossing. There are no available men. So she...
Well, and it kind of seemed that Tom, like, when I confronted Tom as Tyler, like I said, you manipulated her in doing it. And he was kind of like, I mean, I didn't not, but like, So yeah,
it was a bad situation. So anyways, I wasn't sure, but I was like, that may have come from Tom.
I think I had the inkling. I'll post up in the Discord my notes, because when I play a game like this, it's very, my notes are more just like string of thought as things happen. And so, like, there's a whole section in here because it was when Tom and Michael came to Alyson's house at the very beginning of chapter 3 because they were going to check on her because she called in sick for that day to work and all that stuff. And he was like being really weird and standoffish talking to her. And so in my notes, I was like, oh shit, is Tom the dad? And then like a little bit later, I had the thought, because there's that other guy on the ferry with
Alexander?
Tyler and Alyson at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, is he the dad? Like, he found out Tyler was coming back and he's back. And then when Alyson had that like panic attack moment when Greg's, the police officer, touched her hand, I was like, she's seeing something bad. She got some premonition from him. Oh shit, is it Greg's?
You had different ideas than I did,
And
because
then I went through everybody at one
really
point. Then I was like,
did.
oh shit, it's actually Eddie. He's the dad.
Oh my god!
And then I was like, it's Sam. I know it's Sam. And then it gets to the very big reveal, and I was like, and then in my notes in all caps, I'm like, it's fucking Tom. I knew it.
Oh my gosh. No, I never. So the random guy on the fishing boat, I never had that thought. That's funny. I just thought he was a random. If anything, I thought he was going to be some sort of. So the entire time of this game, it is absolutely worth mentioning that the townspeople, most of them at least make an effort to try and accept Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, at least the way that I played through it, the most bigoted person I came across was Tessa.
Yes.
Because I don't know how your interaction with her went at the cemetery, but mine was not good.
Mine was good.
Yeah.
Like,
yours was?
Did it end with you kicking her out of your life? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mine didn't. Mine, because you do find out Tessa is the one who gave Marianne the pamphlet about the conversion therapy, but then you can have the conversation through here where Tessa says that she knows now that she was wrong.
So at the end
and does accept Tyler.
Oh, so at the end of mine that didn't happen.
Oh really? No, we're all hunky dory with Tessa.
No. I went a definitely different route. So at the end of that conversation, this isn't even one of like the decision points. Obviously, the decision that I made up until that point probably led to this.
Yeah.
But at the end of that conversation, Tyler asks Tessa point blank, "Are you good with who I am?"
Mm-hmm.
And she says no. And I think the exact phrasing that she uses is like, "It's understandable that anyone who went through your trauma would wind up confused."
Oh.
So that just cemented my idea of like, I'm glad I burned this bridge with you. So I was you know how I am. I was burning bridges right, left, and center, except for with Michael. I was like, fuck all these people. I'm out of here. So my interaction with Tessa was arguably the least favorable one for Tyler as a person. Whereas everybody else, you can kind of tell that they are making an effort.
Right.
Sam Kansky, he makes a pretty solid effort. At least Tom and Tessa are cordial towards Tyler at the very least, but there's this guy Alexander on this boat. I think his name is Alexander. I can't actually remember. Mm-hmm. But I was like, oh, they might be positioning him as like this hunter, this older guy, this manly man. Yeah. He's probably going to be a big like point of contention here. No, he's just gone. He was just a random guy. You never see him again. And I was like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, though, like, I really did enjoy the story of this one a lot.
Too.
And I liked how it handled, like, obviously, like, introducing the Tyler as a transgender character and, like, having that and, like, how it handled his story and his representation. Thought it was very well done. And, in fact, Dontnod worked very closely with transgender rights groups and GLAAD and stuff like that in the development of the game to help make sure that was a proper representation. And I just thought overall, though, like, it was so much better than Life is Strange 2.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, again, what I mean, it was what Life is Strange 2 should have been in, like, how it was handled. And it's obvious, I think they took lessons from 2 to be able to make Tell Me Why. And so it definitely ranks higher in terms. We still need to go back and play Before the Storm before we can have our final like concise Life is Strange ranking. Because I'm counting Tell Me Why as Life is Strange. Like,
I am too.
I don't care if Dontnod doesn't, but we do.
It's the same. It's just Life is Strange.
I know,
3,
like,
and we
even
all
like
know it.
the like save icon of like the flipping notebook.
Oh my
it looks
God,
just like all the ones that
all
from
the
other ones. I know.
You can't fool us, Dontnod.
No. But here's the point that I was going to make earlier about this game, and I think another reason why I really, really liked it. Imagine if this game, was an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Ooh.
Like all of The Village or Unbreakable.
I would have said like Lady in the Water.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, well.
But
guess you're not really a fan of M. Night Shyamalan, are you?
But now The Happening I've watched 100 times.
The Happening?
That's the one where the plants kill people.
Oh my God. Okay, I haven't seen that one. Damn.
But sorry for the spoiler, but there you go.
Shit. Now I can never watch it.
But no, because like think about have you seen Unbreakable at least? That's the Bruce Willis one where he's like David Dunn. He survives. Oh my God!
I think I've only seen the older M. Night Shyamalan.
So at first I was making the connection between this one and The Village.
Yeah,
and was like, I see it because again, there's like an evil personified, the Mad Hunter, or the Hooded Man. Which the Hooded Man is the bad guy in Unbreakable. So you're kind of like seeing that. So it's like these people with a supernaturally gifted person. David Dunn in Unbreakable,
right?
Or Which again, I was like, okay, here it doesn't quite hold up to the village because nobody's supernaturally gifted in the village. But still, it's like this lie spread around this evil.
Yeah.
This like unnamed thing, like the things we don't speak of in the village, or the hooded man in Unbreakable. And I was just like, this could work as an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Totally could.
So,
and I mean, because there are actually special powers in this one.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like they're like telekinetic voices. You know, the I see dead people of Sixth Sense and all that stuff. So it was kind of like, I was kind of like, man, this could make a pretty sweet Shyamalan movie.
Plus, it does also have all of those horror elements that we talked about.
Which he likes to dabble into.
We should write to M. Night Shyamalan.
Right? Like, we know The Last Airbender was a flop for you, sir. Yeah. But if you would like to take another stab at
I always
movies...
forget that was him. Oh, my God. What was he doing?
If you would like to take another stab at adapting some other material...
We've got a way better one for you.
We've got a good one for you, buddy. But yeah,
man.
I loved it. I thought it was a great game.
I thought it was too.
Not that I wasn't like, I didn't want to play it, but it was definitely not like
nervous.
on my radar too.
Yeah.
Especially because like, Life is Strange 2 was not the greatest. So I was a little nervous to jump back into one.
I think I was more than anything, I was just like, I just hope it's not bad.
Yeah.
Because I was so let down by Life is Strange 2 that I was like, don't let it be another one of these.
Yeah.
And chapter 1 had me so nervous. And then chapters 2 and 3, I thought really wrapped it up. I will say that the final sequence in the loft, I found a little mechanically tedious. It was a little tedious. It was a little much. I thought they could have maybe done it in a more just concise way.
Yeah.
But overall, I definitely had a way better experience with this game than with Life is Strange 2. It will never be able to touch the holy grail of Life is Strange 1.
Right.
But it did, I think it did such...
It got the closest.
It got the closest, and more importantly, with the material that it was working with, I do think they did a really good job.
Oh, yeah.
And something that I also found, again, like I said, I didn't know much about Tell Me Why going into it. I liked that Tyler's transition and his identity as a trans person wasn't the only thing that the game focused on.
Right.
I was a little worried that was going to be the whole thing.
Same.
That it was just going to be about that. And that they blended it in both with Alyson's struggles and with this broader struggle of their past and with Marianne and with the community. I thought it was all blended together to make a much more interesting whole than if any one of those things had been the only thing the game focused on.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Well done.
Well done, yeah.
Well done story.
Golf clap for
yeah,
everyone.
golf clap. I would read that book.
Yeah.
I don't read books, but if I did.
We did.
If we
they
did.
weren't for chumps.
If they weren't for chumps.
No, I actually have to say I just got Sid Meier's, the creator of Civilization, his memoir for my birthday. So I'm gonna have to read that one pretty soon. Sorry, slight little tangent there.
I can't talk. I just bought 2 more manga yesterday.
What are you doing?
I'm back on a manga kick again.
Nice.
We'll have to talk about it sometime on a team chit chat.
Team chit chat, maybe. So we do have to circle back to this because we alluded to it at the very beginning. We said that Tyler and Alyson's voice actors were fantastic.
They did such a good job.
Most of the voice acting in this game was fantastic, but we did allude to a couple people who were like, no, you needed to shoot a little higher there, buddy.
Yeah.
Who was it for you?
I was never impressed by Eddie's voice actor.
Yeah.
I thought that his voice, he didn't do a bad job necessarily, but just every time it was just so flat.
It was flat.
It was so flat and so monotone, even when important stuff was happening, because this is a big old spoiler, so tune out if you don't want to hear this. At one point, Alyson, or at least in my playthrough, Alyson confesses to Eddie that she was actually the one who murdered Marianne, and he adopted her. He's her foster father now. She calls him Uncle Eddie, but he's raised her for 10 years of her life. So he has this big revelation. He's the one who put Tyler in prison.
Yeah.
You would think that would be a little more
deal.
Impactful. And just his I mean, I don't think his reaction was bad. It was just more
when it's
flat.
already paired with flat facial expression, you need that voice to carry it.
You need that voice to carry it through. And just for me, Eddie was one of the weaker characters in general. So I think that it was because largely the voice acting was a little subpar for me.
Yeah. For me, I agree with you on Eddie's. I did have a couple of ones where I was like, could have been better. For me, it was Michael for the same reasons.
Really?
I thought his were like, I thought his acting was just very like, the voice acting was just very monotone.
I guess I just had
one note.
I had my love goggles on. I was a little blinded.
I had him just like a little
thought
bit of
that.
filter on it.
Okay,
Just like,
well,
I see through your lies.
I was so enchanted. I was like, oh, Michael, you're so dreamy. Whoops.
Oh well. But I mean, like, not enough to where it detracted for. I was like, this is a terrible game. But
Yeah.
I just noticed it a little bit more, especially because Tyler and Alyson's is so good.
Yeah, I will say that obviously I don't know the ages of the voice actors that played young Alyson and Tyler, but they did a good job. They did a great job,
Especially for like the scenes around like the dock and the
Yeah.
night and all that stuff.
Yeah, they did a
very
really good
there.
job. But obviously the protagonists, Tyler and Alyson, just did incredible. And I wish that the framing had done this a little bit more, where you do like dramatic cutaways from somebody's face, because I feel like it would have made it a little bit better. Because
blank slate
just like
expressions.
oh no, what I mean is I wish that they had like cut to behind the characters while they were like crying or
I see, I
something,
see.
because I feel like it would have made those again. It would have let you not be distracted by the facial animations, which again, we're not talking Mass Effect Andromeda here.
No.
It wasn't that bad. They were just more static than the emotion being conveyed really needed.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, not a big thing to like ruin the game for me. Overall, story was fantastic. Characters, fantastic. Mystery, fantastic.
I would recommend.
Greatly.
Unlike Life is Strange 2, would recommend.
Thumbs up for Tell Me Why.
Yeah, good job.
So yeah. I mean, unless you had any other thoughts on it, really, let us know, if you've played it.
I think overall, I was pleasantly surprised.
Same.
You know what? Give it up to Life is Strange 2 for setting that bar nicely.
It is now a top tier game because it set us up for this one. But no, I agree with that too. Like it's nice because you definitely see they learned from the things that didn't work with Life is Strange 2. They changed it and knocked it out of the park with Tell Me Why.
Yeah, I agree. I had a really good experience.
If you're looking for a great narrative, investigative mystery game to play with some deep emotional undertones and great storylines and some fantastic
much needed representation.
Exactly. Check out Tell Me Why by Dontnod because it's good. It's a fantastic game.
And even if it's not the best game ever, at least it's shorter than Life is Strange 2.
At least it's
not bad.
But with that, everybody, if you have played Tell Me Why or have any other questions about it, let us know. Write us an email at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com. Comment below wherever you're listening to or watching the show. Find us on social media. Talk to us about it there. Join our Discord. We'd love to have you there and chat about this game with you there as well. But until next time, everybody, I'm one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined across the table by my co-host, Rachel Mogan.
Adios.
We'll see you all next time.